Hello and welcome to Part 2 of completing the New York State Early Learning Trainer credential, the portfolio. This webinar is designed to assist you in completing the portfolio process for the New York State Early Learning Trainer credential and to review Part 2 of the online application. My name is Avril Mills and I am the Credential Coordinator for the New York State Association for the Education of Young Children. This chart is a great visual to show why the New York State Early Learning Trainer credential was developed. The end goal is providing what is best for children, and that is high-quality programming. In order for this to occur, quality training must be provided to the early childhood providers in direct care. The Educational Incentive Program, administered through the State University of New York Professional Development Program with the guidance from the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, has recently put the following timeline in effect for trainers who currently provide non-credit-bearing community-based training for early childhood providers in the state of New York. Step 1 will take effect January 1st of 2013. And will provide an enhanced rate to trainers who hold a level 1, 2, or 3 credential. This enhanced rate will be $35 an hour. The enhanced rate is not available to verified specialty trainers. As of June 1st of 2013, any trainer receiving EIP dollars for non-credit-bearing community-based training must have completed Part 1 of a New York State Early Learning Trainer credential to be a credential trainer or a verified specialty trainer. On December 1st of 2013, trainers receiving EIP dollars for non-credit-bearing community-based training must hold a New York State Early Learning Trainer credential endorsement. Please note the process of becoming a level 1, 2, or 3 credential trainer takes approximately 120 days to complete and then an additional 45-day review period. The entire process must be completed and approved by December 1st of 2013 to avoid a lapse in EIP payments. For a level 1, 2, or 3 credential trainer, the true cost of the credential is $350, which is broken into 2 payments. Part 1 payment due at the submission of Part 1 of the credential application, and a $250 submission due with Part 2 of the credential application. The New York State Office of Children and Family Services is currently providing grant monies through December 31st of 2012 for each candidate who meets the requirements will only have to pay a one-time $75 fee once the credential has been awarded. Through December 1st of 2013, alternate pathways have been created for each level of the credential to assist current providers of professional development with a route that meets their background. As of December 2nd of 2013, the only route that will be available is the standard route. So now is the time to obtain this credential if you do not meet the qualifications described under the standard route. You will see that there is a direct correlation with the degree held, type of credits, and the years of professional experience within the field. You're able to find this chart at the New York State AEY website, www.nysetyc.org, under the Credentials page, and also on the Credential website at www.nycecpdi.org under the Documents page. It's important to note on this chart that every level requires a minimum of 2 years direct professional experience working with children and families. Once Part 1 of your application is approved, you'll be given 90 days to complete the portfolio process and Part 2 of the online application. The portfolio will address the competencies in the 4 knowledge base areas: knowledge of content, instructional design and development, presentation skills, and professionalism. You will need to choose 2 trainings, 2 consultations, or 1 training and 1 consultation to base your portfolio on. You will choose based on what you do in your day-to-day work. If you only do group trainings, you will submit 2 separate group trainings in your portfolio. If you only provide consultation or technical assistance services, your portfolio will contain 2 consultations. However, if you offer both group training and consultations, your portfolio should contain 1 group training and 1 consultation. Please pay close attention to the definitions on the coming slides for what constitutes an eligible training and consultation. Please do not exceed the timeframes offered in the definition of the training or consultation. Also remember, the portfolio is based on community-based, non-credit-bearing workshops or consultations. For each training or consultation you've chosen to put in your portfolio, you will write an essay following the portfolio instructions and scoring tool on your knowledge of content, instructional design and development, and submit your evaluations for the presentation skills section. The portfolio will conclude with 1 essay on professionalism. Eligible group trainings are non-credit-bearing, community-based workshops that are 1.5 to 3 hours in length that you as the trainer created, authored, and primarily presented in the last 3 years. Please remember that standardized curricula, such as health and safety, cannot be used in your entries. However, the exception to this rule is PITC workshops. The training was to be presented to a group of 20 people. This can be accomplished in 1 presentation of the workshop or multiple presentations of the same workshop in a 3-year period. Eligible consultation services must have also been done in the last 3 years. The consultation must be a resolution-based curricula created for a specific concern or set of concerns. Candidates who provide consultation services or technical assistance are encouraged to choose a program where a pre-evaluation was completed, a work plan was set into motion, and a post-evaluation of the program was completed to provide evidence of positive progress. When the reviewer of your portfolio completes the reading, they should feel as though they sat through your entire group training or consultation that you've chosen to write about in your portfolio. This form is the portfolio checklist and should be the first page of your portfolio. Ensure the top address information is completed, as this is where your response regarding the credential will be mailed to. The checklist is to be used as a visual to ensure you have not missed any sections of the portfolio process. The portfolio entry cover sheet is to be used at the front of each entry. This is an important part of the review process and must be completed for entry 1 and 2 of the portfolio. For each entry, you will choose the type of professional development experience you have provided in your portfolio, group training or consultation. The dates of the training or consultation are very important and must match the corresponding dates on the participant evaluations submitted. If it was a group training, the title of the workshop must be included. Next, you will choose the audience that your training or consultation was presented to, as well as the age group of the children the training or consultation pertains to. You will choose no more than 2 core body of knowledge areas that you feel the training or consultation relates to, and the level of the participants that attended the consultation. You will also choose the OCFS topic areas that the training or consultation addresses. Remember, when making these choices, the time frames for the training or consultation do not allow for all topics to be covered fully, so choose what the majority of the presentation covered. This cover sheet will be referred back to during the review process to ensure consistency. For each entry, you will be discussing your knowledge of content. It is important that you relate your education, and your experience directly to the content of the workshop, speaking about specific coursework or continuing education classes that you have taken to give you knowledge in the area of the content, and your direct experience which you have learned from that has also given you knowledge of the content you're providing. This section is to support why you have the knowledge to train on this particular content. Be very specific in your statements. Along with using the portfolio instructions when writing your entries, you're encouraged to use the scoring tool to assist you in the writing. The scoring tool is used starting at 0 and moving up to the next number. You must meet all of the criteria in that higher number, otherwise your score is the lower number. There are no half-point scores given, so you must fully meet the criteria in each box. Remember, you should always be reaching for the 3s and 4s on the scoring tool. The next couple of slides relate to the direct competencies and questions being asked. It is important for you to know that the knowledge of content and instructional design and development essays, you will be speaking to all of the competencies. Also, please know that there is some redundancy in the competencies. This is being worked on for the next round of revisions. However, at this time, you need to ensure that you are answering each question fully in each section since they are taken individually. As stated before, your knowledge of content essay will start with your qualifications to be presenting on the content. This should look very different for each entry, as you will not be submitting 2 of the same trainings or consultations in your portfolio. Please be careful with copying and pasting between sections. This has resulted in deferrals in the past due to copy-paste errors and changes not being made throughout. The second part of the knowledge and content entry is you stating the current resources and research and resources used to help develop your knowledge on the topic. You'll want to speak about your learning objectives for the training or consultation and how the resources and research support them. The third section in knowledge of content is speaking to the participants who took your training or were part of the consultation. You want to describe how the training was relevant to the participants' needs and how you knew what those needs were, how the participants will be putting theory into practice after the training or consultation, specific tools you've given them to use, and discuss the diversity of children and families they represent and how this applies to them. Section 4 of Knowledge of Content will speak to how you ensured that the content provided was consistent with and promoted compliance. You'll want to describe specific regulations, policies, or program quality standards that are addressed in this topic. The final section of Knowledge of Content will be discussing your knowledge of learning standards for both professionals and children. You'll need to address the specific standards that you're meeting with the content and instructional methods used. As you proofread your entry for Knowledge of Content, score yourself using the portfolio scoring tool to ensure that you're covering each section to its fullest and to the best of your ability. Statements must be specific to the content of the topic. Remember, this entry is to tell your story and why you're able to train on this content. In the Instructional Development and Design section, the reviewer should have the information to assess how the training or consultation was developed and how it supported the learning objectives. Also, by the end of this section, the reviewer should feel as though they were present during your training or consultation. The final part of this section will include PowerPoint slides and our trainer notes with all of the information presented, as well as a copy of your handouts provided to the participants of your training or consultation. Statement 1 for the Instructional Development and Design section is speaking to the learning objectives for the participants in the training or consultation. These objectives must be measurable. To ensure they're measurable, you'll want to describe how you're going to measure them during the training or consultation And also, throughout this section, you'll be referring back to these objectives. Statement 2 of the Instructional Design and Development section is about how the training was developed with sound theories and principles of adult learning. You'll be speaking to the different methods used to help the participants learn and apply the methods and, where applicable, specific learning objectives that may have been met for the training or the consultation. In your third statement for instructional development and design, you'll be describing the methods used to determine the participant learning needs. Many times in a consultation or training, you'll find that the group sitting in front of you is in the room for a different reason than you were originally prepared for. So in that instance, how did you make changes to your delivery to meet the needs of the group while continuing to meet the learning objectives and teaching the content of the workshop? Also in this statement, you will need to address how you continually assessed the participants' learning needs throughout the training or the consultation. The fourth and fifth statements in instructional design and development is based on putting theory into practice, which you address in a smaller scale in knowledge of content. In this statement, you want to describe how the audience was actively engaged and how the engagement met the learning objectives, and also how you see them using this information in their work. This can all be answered in one statement for both the fourth and fifth scoring areas in instructional design and development. The final part of instructional design and development is your handouts. They should include an agenda, trainer notes or PowerPoint slides including trainer notes, as well as a set of every handout that was given to the participants. You want to ensure proper copyright information is on the handouts for any non-original materials. The purpose of the trainer notes or the PowerPoint slides with the trainer notes is to walk the reviewer through the training or consultation so they feel as though they were a participant there themselves. As previously stated, ensure that your information in each entry is specific to the topic on the entry cover sheet. Be sure that you have measurable objectives that you've related to the appropriate sections of the entry in the instructional design and development. Again, score your entry using the portfolio scoring tool when you're proofreading to ensure you've covered each area to your fullest ability. Please use the scoring sheet to your advantage. Your entry for presentation skills are specific to an agenda with timeframes and the evaluations submitted by the participants of the training or consultation. You will not be providing a written statement in this section. You must include an agenda with the time designations for the training or consultation in this section. This is to see that you have an appropriate amount of time to cover the content and materials adequately, or if there was too much time scheduled. The evaluations of the training or consultation are the only other materials submitted in this section. The evaluation tool is first evaluated to ensure it speaks to the four knowledge base areas of the credential: knowledge of content, instructional design and development, the trainer's presentation skills, and the trainer's professionalism. This is an example of an evaluation tool that meets the four knowledge base areas. This sample can also be found on the New York State AEY website at www.nysaeyc.org. Please note that the tool includes a title of the workshop, the date, and the name of the presenter. This is all information that is looked at for consistency purposes. For consultations, an evaluation also like this can be used, but instead of a workshop title, it may just state consultation. There would also be many dates for the potential meeting work that occurred. The final item looked in presentation skills is the number of evaluation. As stated previously, the training should have 20 participants, either through one presentation or multiple presentations of the same workshop in a 3-year period. This is occasionally unobtainable. Therefore, if the training submitted does not have the minimum 20 evaluations completed, you must submit a roster of attendees with a 90% return rate of evaluations. Also, please note that training submitted with less than 10 evaluations cannot score above a 2 in this section. With consultations, it's best to have the participant complete an evaluation form to ensure all of the knowledge base areas are covered adequately. Many times, writers of letters for consultations do not cover the 4 knowledge base areas. Because consultations are more personal, you're able to go back to that person and have them complete an evaluation. Unlike a group training where it's unlikely that you're going to know all of those participants to go back and have them complete an evaluation. This entry section scores low because many trainers do not use a tool that meets the 4 knowledge base areas. This process is to enable you to use best practices when creating trainings or consultations, so part of that may be updating your tool to meet best practice standards. If your tool does not meet the standards, please be aware that your score will be low in this section. You'll want to develop your portfolio in other areas to ensure that you're making up for the low scores in this section. Please know that this section is not a make it or break it section. If you have done well in your knowledge of content and instructional development and design sections, you will get through this section just fine. This is the final written entry in the portfolio after you've completed your knowledge of content, instructional design and development, and presentation skills entries for 1 and 2. In this entry, you will choose 4 competencies that speak to you as a professional and write about them. At the end of this entry, you will discuss your future plans for your own professional development and speak to areas where you would like to grow and set professional goals. There are 10 competencies to choose from in this section. This entry is the icing on the cake for your portfolio. By the time the reviewer gets to this statement, they will have already gotten a good feel for your competency level in professionalism based on the information you've provided in entries 1 and 2. The other big difference in this section is the scoring. You should note that on the scoring tool, there is only 1 question asked. However, it is weighed higher than any other statements in the previous entries. Each other statement, its scores go 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. For this section, it's scored 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Here are some quick tips on the organization of the portfolio. One thing that we ask is that you keep your portfolio binder to no more than 1.5 inches. Ensure you do not include any non-pertinent information in the binder and feel free to use photographs or tape your training or consultations for the reviewers to view. Please note that entries must still be written when a recorded version of the training is submitted. Portfolios are reviewed by New York State Early Learning Trainer credentialed trained reviewers. All reviewers hold the credential. Reviewers use the portfolio scoring tool, which is provided to you so that you can understand how the scoring is completed. Reviewers start at the 0 rating and move up from there, remembering that all criteria in each number must be met to receive that score. If the credential is awarded to you, you will be notified via email regarding the approval, and you will sign into your account to choose your payment option. Once payment is received, you will receive your certificate and a notification on how to have your portfolios returned to you if you so wish. If your credential is deferred, you will receive your portfolios with a letter stating the specific areas you scored a 2 or below in so that you can make changes and additions to your portfolio and resubmit within a 60-day period. If the credential is denied, you will be notified via a letter that states the areas you scored a 2 or below in. The credential is a denial when a score of less than 65 is achieved or the portfolio is deferred twice. Currently, a process is under development to provide mentorship and coaching for candidates who are denied so that they can reapply at a later date. Please remember that if you are denied, you are still able to train. However, you will not be able to accept EIP dollars as of December 1st of 2013 if you have not received your credential. At this point, we're going to quickly review Part 2 of the online application. This is often forgotten about because the portfolio takes precedence in Part 2. However, for your portfolio to be reviewed, this section must be completed. It typically takes no longer than 15 minutes. You will need to sign in to the credential page. This is why we ask that you keep your sign-in information in a safe place, because you do often have to go back to this place. If you are having an issue with sign-in, please feel free to contact us at the New York State AEYC office, and we can assist you with resetting your password. The first thing you are going to choose is the content area in which you are qualified based on your education and experience to provide professional development in. For some individuals, this may be a couple of areas, while for others, it could be multiple. Next, you will choose whether you work for an agency or you're an independent trainer or you do both. You will then choose the languages you train in. Please note that although you may train in different languages, your portfolio submission must be in English at this time. Please choose the areas of the state where you're able to train in. Remember, you need to be willing to travel to these areas, and it may be at your own expense unless you include travel into your training contract with an agency or participants that are attending your training. This is where you'll choose the formats you currently offer as a provider of professional development. In this section, choose the audience you train to, bearing in mind your education and experience. The same is true for choosing the target ages you train for. An individual who holds an elementary education degree and has worked in a school-age care program should not be choosing infants and toddlers as a target age group for training. In this section, you're choosing training topic areas that you provide training in. The next section, you'll be entering any training of the trainer certifications that you may hold. You must fill this section out in its entirety, including expiration dates where applicable. Please remember, it's your responsibility to keep this information up to date when renewing your certifications. Make sure you sign back into your credential account to update your expiration dates. You'll need to submit supporting documentation for any standardized or mandated curricula. Many of the training of the trainers approved in the state of New York are already listed as options in the drop-down box. However, there is another training section. If you have a training of the trainer certification, you can type it into that section if it is not on this drop-down box. The next section is for assessment tools, in which you have been trained to reliability. Some examples are the environmental rating scales, the PASS, and the DECA. You will need to provide documentation from the issuing agency that you have been trained to reliability in order to include these tools on your public profile. For instance, if you are putting an environmental rating scale, you're providing a letter from North Carolina stating that you have been trained to reliability to use this particular tool. The final section of the online application is any professional licenses, credentials, or certifications that you may hold. These could include a children's program administrator credential or a family child care credential, school-age care credential, teaching certification, you're a registered nurse, or dietitian license. Once you've completed all sections, you will submit Part 2 of the online application and send all of your supporting documentation for standardized mandated trainings that you're approved as the trainer for, proof of training to reliability for assessment tools, and copies of credentials, certifications, and licenses that you hold when you submit your portfolios. In addition to recorded webinars, webinars are held on a regular basis with live interaction. The Credential Coordinator is also available for any questions you may have about your specific situation as a provider of professional development. There's a list of frequently asked questions that can be found on the New York State AEYC website. And in April 2012, the first Trainer Institute was rolled out. This is going to be rolled out regionally beginning in the fall of 2012. Please watch the New York State AEY website for coming dates and locations. Please feel free to contact me at any time via email or phone. I look forward to working with you as you complete the portfolio process to becoming a level 1, 2, or 3 credential trainer through the New York State Early Learning Trainer Credential. Thank you for your interest in improving the quality training in the state of New York. Have a great day.